As I record this, medical and dental practices nationwide are screwing up new patient leads they've paid good money to generate. Are you one of them? If you suspect it even just a little bit, then listen to what my guest today has to say about it and what you can do about it. I'm Carl White, principal at Mark Advisory Group, which is a healthcare marketing agency, and I'm also the host of Practice Care. The mission for both is the same, and that's to help private practice owners stay private. Not only is that usually what they want anyway, but all sorts of things get better when the provider owns the practice. They get to make the clinical decisions they think are best. They get to make the scheduling decisions they think are best. Whatever the decisions that have to get made, the provider gets to make them because they're the ones who own the place. Not always the same when somebody else owns the practice. Usually, sometimes, eventually, their agenda starts to creep in, forces compromises. Nobody gets hurt, but still, let's keep it simple and let's keep it private. My guest today is Jake Goetz. Since 2003, Jake has given group seminars and training on sales and marketing. He's a key opinion leader for various dental marketing companies. Since 2013, Jake has personally consulted more than 5,600 dentists nationwide on their marketing strategies and sales skills to reduce unnecessary spend while increasing collections. Jake founded GOAT Dental Marketing, that's GOAT, consultants in early 2023, providing marketing strategy and sales coaching for dental offices across the country. But I promise you, what he's going to talk about today is universal. Jake, with his wife and two daughters, enjoy living and playing in the mountains of northern Utah, which he was just telling me about before we started recording, compared to the utter flatness that is Northern Illinois. Nevertheless, Jake, thanks for coming on Practice Care.
Hey, Carl, thanks for inviting me. It's fun to finally do this after talking to you a few times about it.
Yeah, I know. It took a little while to get it on the books, but here we are. It's a good topic. It's a super relevant topic, something that's totally solvable, but can seem elusive when you start. So we're going to get into it, but I want to start with you, where I start with every single guest on here. That bio I read was short. That's what I asked for. Tell us more about you.
Yeah, so I'm, I guess at the root of it all, why I got into sales and marketing. I am number 9 of 13 children. Yeah, so
Bit of
being
selling and marketing going on every day.
I can get along with just about any personality. I grew up and was raised with all the personalities you can imagine. Yes, I'm from Utah, but I do only have one mother with all siblings. I'm just kidding. But
I didn't think of that, nor would I ever ask you that.
Yeah, I've gotten the question several times, so I always take a preemptive strike on that one. It's been a fun road. I graduated in professional sales after serving a mission for my church. I lived in Brazil for a couple of years, and I joke and tell people I learned how to sell by selling Jesus first, and then I moved on. But I had kind of an interesting road to get into dentistry. I paid my way through college by knocking doors, just good old fashioned ground marketing, selling door to door. And then after 3.5 years of that and graduating school debt free, I went to work for Wyndham Worldwide as a timeshare salesman.
Okay.
As 100% commission, just got into my blood knocking doors, and I did that for
You
another.
knocked on doors selling timeshares?
No, well, no. So first I sold
Okay.
security for ADT home security. And then I got into the sales program at Weber State University out in Utah. And after that, I went on to sell timeshare for one of my professor's brothers was the one that was my boss. And he said, you should go sell for him. So I started selling timeshare. I sold timeshare for about 3 years. And I loved it. It was so much fun listening to music and talking about vacations all day.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And then I got recruited by a friend to go manage a call center and train sales reps on how to sell over the phone, which was weird because I had never done phone sales. But I did that for a few years before getting recruited by a dental marketing company to train dental staff on how to answer phone calls. And that's how I got into dental 12 years ago. And about 1.5 years ago now, I started my own consultancy after doing everything from direct mail, putting together, email blasts for patient recall, and doing websites and everything else in the digital marketing space. I had a client actually say, I feel like I could do some of this myself now, but I really need somebody to guide me and kind of consult me through it.
Mhm.
So my co-founders of my last marketing agency gave me a green light to do that, and
Okay.
that's how I transitioned into doing this full time. And
Right.
I work with a lot of different consultants and have a great team that helps keep me on point and up to date with all the latest and
Yeah.
greatest things going on.
So would you say you're kind of like an outsourced CMO or a fractional CMO for dental practices? Is that a fair way to say it?
Yeah, that's exactly what we are. We've expanded a little bit in the last 6 months where we're more of like a fractional C-suite. I have
Okay.
consultants that are over operations. I have a consultant coming on right now that has background in accounting and managing a P&L.
Mhm.
And I have another one who does leadership training and personality profiling assessments to train doctors on how to know their team and put them in the right seat.
Mhm.
And then I've got the marketing consultants, and so we kind of do it all from a executive C-suite management group specializing in private practice. And we have only two clients that are not dentists. Everybody else is in the dental realm.
Right. It's smart. It's a business. A practice is a business. We don't think of it that way, but it is, and it needs those capabilities to varying degrees, whatever, but it needs them. Um, whether it's one person doing them or all. So it makes a lot of sense when you describe what it is.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
So, I mean, the average marketing director in the US now is about $7,000 a month on salary, plus benefits and the HR headache. And so we came to market just saying, look, don't pay, all that if you're not ready. Bring in somebody who can do a lot of those things very quickly and efficiently
Yeah.
for a whole lot less. And it's gone really well. I mean, knock on wood, in 18 months, we haven't, I guess there's one client that we outgrew and we handed them over they sold out to a DSO, and the
Okay.
DSO already had all that in place. But
Sure.
other than that, we've pivoted. We even have sales trainers now that have come on and sales consultants. And so there's a lot of fun stuff that
Yeah.
we're down.
Yeah. It's funny when you say HR and you put the word headache. Everybody does that. Poor HR.
Yeah,
They have just
I
the
know.
worst, just just a one hell of a deep hole of a bad reputation to climb out of one day, but for another episode. So let's get into it. We're talking about, the title of this episode is Managing Leads really matters more than generating them. And so let's start with like definition of terms. Lead management versus lead generation. What does each one mean and what's different about them?
Yeah, it's a great question that really in the dental world has not come full circle really until right before the pandemic is when there was the first time that I ever had a dentist mention the word CRM,
Really?
customer relationship management tool. I had never had one of my clients in the first 10 years I was in dental or so uh, ask me what CRM would I recommend to manage their leads.
To you? Are
Uh,
you sure? Yeah. Right.
yeah, so
Uh,
like they didn't know what that was. I had brought it up to a lot of clients and implemented it, but lead generation is really the top of the funnel. When you
mhm,
think of all of your prospective patients coming in, at the top of that funnel, you can do a million different things: word of mouth, ground marketing, website, SEO, pay-per-click, all of the different marketing channels available to get people to find your practice.
mhm,
But then once they contact your practice, now you've generated a lead.
mhm.
So now how are you going to manage that lead if the call goes to voicemail? If the call hangs up early, is somebody reaching back out to those missed calls? So now what is your process for managing the pipeline of those leads? I have a client in Fort Lauderdale right now. We got 122 leads last month just on his Google campaign for full
Mhm.
arch cases.
Mhm.
Very valuable leads. But of those 122, there was a small percentage of them that had been contacted in a timely manner, and an even smaller percentage that actually got on the phone with them, and a smaller percentage that ended up scheduling an appointment,
Mhm.
and then a smaller percentage that showed up for their appointment.
Yeah.
And so, you look at 122 opportunities. Do you have a process in place to manage those opportunities? What systems are you using? So
Mhm.
that's the difference between generating a lead and getting a name and a contact number or email that you
Mhm.
can reach out to
Yeah.
versus managing that experience for that patient journey map all the way into the chair.
And there it is. The goal is either into the chair or you screen out for some good reason. You're
Yes.
clinically inappropriate, you can't afford it, whatever it is. but just to sort of let them fall off, that's where kind of mismanagement, bad management comes in, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And lead management has become much more popular in dentistry, especially, and in private practice. I would say dating back to like 2019. 2019 was when I started noticing a really significant movement with the most popular lead management tools that are out there, where they got into the dental space, and suddenly there was this newfound hope that we weren't going to lose all this money we had just spent on leads because
Mhm.
wasn't a place to put them.
Right.
And so organizing a CRM or a lead management tool with your practice management system, when
Right.
those work really well in tandem, that's when you
Right.
know that you're on track.
So in your experience, why do so many practices, maybe it's getting better, sounds like it's getting better. Why do so many overlook the managing of the leads part versus generating?
Because there's too many hats to wear. Usually it happens up front, right? The person answering the phone is checking people in and out. The person answering the phone is on, also juggling the insurance on
Mhm.
hold. There's a million things that they're doing. They're being asked to come back and help chairside. Um, and so the leads just become this whirlwind of
Mhm.
chaos. And, you know, I like to call a CRM organized chaos, because
Yeah.
really you're doing everything at the top of the funnel, generating the leads, and it's going into something. At least that chaos is putting you in a position to be successful. But there's a lot of those other distractions that just happen all day long.
Yeah.
And so it's very easy to forget to come back and check your inbox and see if any new lead forms are in there,
Yeah.
or check your caller ID and see how many missed calls came in during lunch, and do I have time to call them all back right away,
Yeah.
or are we staggering the phones? There's a lot of things that I think gets in the way of it, but it's usually a lack of organization at the operational level.
Yeah. And it makes me wonder, like, is it just sort of a lack of appreciation of what it really entails to do this well?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, statistically, according to the ADA, the average new patient value the first year that they join in practice is over $1,500 now. So if you look at it from that standpoint, every time that phone rings, that's $1,500 ringing in your ear.
Hmm.
And it all depends on how well you manage that phone call.
Yeah. Yeah. And the follow-up and to get to the point where they just say nope, or you say nope. But
Yeah.
what happened to them? And then, so this example, this particular procedure, I'm going to guess is a lot more than $1,500.
Yeah. The average full arch case these days is 20,000 bucks for a single arch. Some areas they're as high as 60 or $70,000 for a full mouth rehab.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, when that client had 122 leads come in last month, and we saw such a small percentage were contacted within the first 5 minutes of giving us their information,
Hmm.
over 90%, well, it's 80% of new leads, if they are not contacted, if it's a lead form submission, if
Hmm.
someone submits their information and is not contacted within the first 5 minutes, you're already losing 80% likelihood that you'll be able to contact them.
Wow.
And so the timeliness is crucial. And if
Yeah.
you're organized and you don't have somebody that's watching that like a hawk and managing their time efficiently,
Yeah.
and I think the biggest part of a lead management tool is the automations. I mean, we live in an amazing technological era that can trigger automations of communication.
Hmm.
And there's AI bots that I did one the other day, Carl, totally blew my mind. I
Yeah.
think I may have told you this on our last phone call, but I found one that you can put in what you want your accent to sound like. And if you're let's say you're a Filipino and you're answering the phones, or you're from South America answering the phones for a practice in Texas,
Hmm.
you can actually specify that you want a Texan accent, or maybe you're in Louisiana and you want a southern drawl,
Wow.
or those types of things. You can put that in, and live time on a live call, you can have that actually translate your voice into a more localized accent. And are we using that type of technology if we're outsourcing call receiving? Are we using technology that if we miss a call, our system sends them a text? So sorry we missed your call. How
Mhm.
can we help you today? We're just checking somebody out and we'll be with you shortly.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that, you know, there's a lot of things that even the AI where it can crawl a website and layer into your customer relationship management tool so that if they ask a question, I was just curious, does your doctor do implants
Mhm.
or does your doctor do root canals?
Mhm.
You can train the AI to crawl your website and you can answer questions in the AI algorithm so it knows how to answer that on your behalf via
Hmm.
text. And the beauty of it is AI doesn't sleep. It's working 24/7.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
you can have a bot send them your online booking link. If they just
Yeah.
say, oh, I'm just looking to book an appointment, I'm a new
Yeah.
patient.
And if listeners, if you're thinking, oh my God, that sounds so complicated and expensive, let's just take Jake's example of, let's say, $20,000 times 100. Let's make it simple. Last month, what is that? That's $2 million. Is that right?
Yeah,
$2
200.
million of phone calls in one
Yeah.
month, whatever your numbers are. Let's take 1,500 times 100. What is that? That's $150,000 of potential new revenue on top of all the other benefits of new patients. Is that worth a few bucks?
Yeah. You know, I think we get the old adage is what, let's not trip over pennies to pick up dimes. I mean, this really is an example of the pennies of your system that can put
Yeah.
you at the next level.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll share a quick story. I had a client, they kept telling me, Jake, our marketing company's not working. And I
Mhm.
kept telling them, no, I know this marketing company because I'm independent. And so I refer to a lot of different agencies, and this was one of them.
Mhm.
I met this person at a show and they kept saying, hey, I saw that you recommend this agency on your website. You may want to take them down. They're really doing a poor job for me. And I said, well, let me look at the data. So I called the agency. I was able to get them to grant access. I looked at their results. They were killing it. Like
Mhm.
their cost per lead was right in check where it should have been for that area. Everything looked great. I said, hey, are you guys recording these calls as well? And they said, oh yeah, it's all in the database. They showed me how to access the call recordings. I listened to a dozen phone calls, skimming them. And I realized it was the person at the front desk. They were just answering the phone in a way, and they were really distracted. You could tell
Mhm.
they weren't even asking people to schedule an appointment.
Mm.
It was just
Why bother
in.
answering? Yeah.
So I called the doctor back and I said, this isn't your marketing company's problem. This is
Mhm.
actually a training issue. And so we got on, did a training. They literally the very next month went from seeing an average of 35 to 40 new patients a month to 60
Mhm.
just by offering a training and putting a new tool in place to hold that office accountable.
Mhm. The
So
scheduling.
yeah, it, like that's their job. But when
Yeah.
they have too many things that they're trying to juggle, and the other thing was they were missing about 48% of their phone calls. And once we said, no, no, no more, you got to go hire somebody. Let's put an automation in place. Now 100% of missed calls get a text message immediately upon the call disconnecting.
Mhm.
And they have a lead management system that allows that front desk person to log a note every time they call, every time they text. It logs all of their activity so that we could see what
Mhm.
amount of effort was being put in. And the first few weeks, they were struggling with the follow up.
Mhm.
And so it just took some ongoing coaching to get them there.
Yeah.
And now they're spending the exact same amount, but they're seeing almost double. Here we are now 4 or 5 months later, and they're almost
Mhm.
number of new patients that they
Yeah.
were at
Yeah.
spending the same money.
Yeah. And there it is, just capturing the demand that's already out there. So like the basic components, not the nitty-gritty and not like the granular details, but what would you say the major big components of lead management are for you to look at and go, this is a good setup?
Oh, first and foremost, are all of the leads going into the same pipeline?
Okay.
Uh, I would say, do you have a system to catch the leads?
Mm-hmm.
And not just relying on a caller ID or relying on your inbox and a star system and a notification system in your inbox, which
The sticky note system.
yeah, that
Yeah.
works for, when I started my consultancy and I was barely getting started with 5, 10 clients,
Mhm.
that was easy for me to use. But once I got beyond that and I was getting a lot of referrals as a business, you have to have a way to capture
Mhm.
and put that in to
Mhm.
a system.
Mhm.
And so I'll just give you one little tip. One thing that you can do as far as capturing the leads is you
Mhm.
get a system set up and make it where out of your customer relationship management system that's where you pull the form, your form fill that you're going to put on the website or that you're going to put out on your social media.
Mhm.
If you grab the form straight from the customer relationship management tool to put there,
Mhm.
then every time it's submitted, it automatically creates the contact. You don't have to manually do it.
Yeah, a good CRM system will have like a form builder,
Yes.
and you want
So
to use theirs. Yeah.
that's the easiest way to start.
Mhm.
They're very inexpensive
Mhm.
to get those started. So that's what I would say is kind of step one.
Mhm.
Step two, that's a must-have to know that you're optimized, is the automation. Do you have notifications going out and triggers within your database to send them an email saying, thank you, we received your information, as well as a text, thank you for submitting the form on our website. We will be in touch shortly. And I always put a call to action. If you're simply a new patient looking for an appointment, please click the link below. And you can even put a form in that where you're
Mhm.
doing a form builder in the text that says,
Mhm.
are you looking, do you need a consultation for cosmetic dentistry, for orthodontics, for implants,
Mhm.
or just general cleaning?
Mhm.
And can also direct them to the booking link of your online scheduler
Mhm.
into the correct column
Mhm.
in your practice management system.
Mhm.
So having that system set up, it doesn't take a lot of time. Any
Mhm.
good marketing team can typically help.
Mhm.
That's I would say number two, because now we've talked about capturing data in one place
Mhm.
and initial notification so that you're not as dependent on making sure that you have the man hours to call them within 5 minutes if you're busy.
Right. Right. Okay.
So, and then the other thing that I always say is a way that you can log and schedule yourself reminders within that database, making sure that at the click of a button, I can see how many new leads do I have,
Mhm.
and do all of those open leads that have not yet been scheduled have a follow-up task associated with it.
Mhm.
If you don't have a system in place to ensure that every one of your open opportunities that you just paid to contact your office has a follow-up task assigned to it, then you're losing money and things are slipping through the cracks.
Yeah, I heard a saying once. It was the fortunes in the follow-up, and it's so true.
Oh, I
Um,
like that.
yeah, there's some number of times you've got to follow up with somebody, and I'm sure it's different depending on what the product or service is. But there's some number. It's not once. It's not just when they call in. And then, if it sounds like it's, not so fun, trust me when I tell you that, listener, most of your competition is either not going to do it or not do it enough. And so if it's, let's say it's 5 times, making this up, most are going to stop after the second or third. They just, human nature, they just do. So if you keep going, you're going to get more than your fair share. Um, but the
Well, and
fortunes of the follow-up. Yeah.
I love that saying. I've never heard that, but it's golden because really you're right. How often do you answer a phone call from a number that you don't recognize?
Mhm.
And so another little tip and trick of the trade that I teach all of my clients,
Mhm.
this little secret sauce for everyone, but
Mhm.
I call it the double down follow-up.
Okay.
And it's basically a power dial approach where you dial the second you hear the voicemail greeting, the second that comes on, you hang up, send them a text message telling them who you are and that you just tried calling.
Mhm.
Hit send on that text message. I promise you, if you call them again within 30 seconds of hitting send on the text message, the answer rate will be exponentially better
Wow. Because?
because now you've got a text message on your cell phone that shows you, oh, there's a phone number texting me. And now I see that phone number because they're not a contact in my cell phone. And then if that same phone number rings again and it just told me that it was XYZ, it was Jake at XYZ Dental,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be more likely to answer, or I will at least respond back to the text. I can't talk right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so your response rate and what I call a contact rate, when you're looking at lead management, there are key metrics that you pay attention to, you know, time to contact. What is the actual warm contact rate? A lot of people don't look at that, but I love to know what percentage actually got back to me, answered the phone, texted with me. It's the old saying, if a tree falls in the forest and no one's around, does it really sound?
Mm-hmm.
Your front desk person could call 10 times on the voicemail
Mm-hmm.
and say, oh yeah, I've reached out 10 times, but they haven't actually made any progress yet.
Yeah.
Maybe that call, that prospective patient and lead has a setting on their phone that if it's an unknown caller, it just pushes it to voicemail, and they've learned it to themselves not to look at missed calls anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
the call text call double down,
Mm-hmm.
to me, it's the best way that you can follow up with a lead.
Yeah. Do you ever talk about like, look, when you follow up at different times of the day, try, if somebody you try them at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, next time try it 4 or noon or whatever.
Yeah. In fact, on your lead builder, my favorite thing to put on a good lead builder, form builder, is to actually say, what's the best time to contact you?
Yeah.
That way you have that come through in the lead,
Mm-hmm.
and you can queue that up again, associating and coding it so that it's sending them a follow-up right when the lead comes in. But then you can have another follow-up go up at that time saying, is now a good time to talk?
Yeah.
Please call us at this number if so.
Oh, I like it.
So that way you can also put call tracking phone numbers into your automations to help you see, wow, look at how many our automated system is getting to call.
Mm-hmm.
And then do I need a VA to follow up? Do I need to hire a virtual assistant, or do I need to find another person to man the front desk just for lead follow-up?
Right.
So that's when I say, like, it's operations 101. It's ensuring that
It really is. It's
you're
sales operations. I mean, that's sort of the generic term. Yeah. Do
yeah.
you ever like, do you ever advocate paying like a commission, or but like it's kind of a sales job? I mean, part of it is, do you get into that with certain clients and say, look, this person's going to
Yes.
be doing this, think about a commission, or like, you know what I mean?
Well, this, Carl, but sales is a buzzword in the healthcare space, right? In the dental space, especially.
Mm-hmm.
You've got pharmaceutical reps that, so sales isn't as much of a buzzword in the health space,
Mm-hmm.
as much as it is like the medical as it is the dental.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what it is. I had a professor my first day of my sales program at Weber State say, who here thinks when they hear the word salesman has a negative connotation to it? 90% of the hands in the class went up. And he said, think that, you can leave and check yourself out of this program right now.
Mm-hmm.
And he said this, nothing happens in this world until a sale is made.
Mm-hmm.
Prove wrong.
Yeah.
And growth, progress, it's all persuasion. It's all old school rhetoric.
Mm-hmm.
And we're building value in all that we do.
Yeah.
So that to me set a whole tone for my approach to relationships, and knowing that if you're genuine in that relationship, the progress will happen.
Yeah.
But the sales cycle has to run its course. And if you're not putting the tools around your business to facilitate that cycle to take place,
Mm-hmm.
you're shortchanging yourself, and you're burning money on marketing, because you can spend all the money in the world on marketing all day long. But if you don't have a way to convert those leads,
What's the point?
then what's the point?
What's the point? Yeah, I was a field sales for 10 years, and it became pretty clear to me pretty quickly. First of all, whether they say yes or no is kind of, it's out of my control. So I can get close to that point, but I can't get all the way there. And really my job is to figure out, is my product a viable option for them or not? That's really the first one. All right, if I'm a viable option, I may not be the only one. Now let's compare. And if I do this well enough, assuming the product's good, I'll get enough. And really, what for me it meant, let me just help them understand my product, how it would fit into their life, in the context that we're talking about. And if I can see it and they can see it, look, you still may not choose it, but don't tell me it's not a good choice, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, let me just authentically, can I just help you make a good decision about my stuff, whether it's
Yeah.
yes or no?
Well, and there's a
You know,
fine line in that.
sometimes you got to like follow up and kind of force them to listen to you. Not force, but like they don't always want to. But this is the motivation of a good salesperson. Like I'm not done yet. This person doesn't know enough yet. And if they shut
right.
me out, like the big Heisman, fine. But dude, you don't know enough yet. So, and
Well,
my
and
boss
there's
won't let me say otherwise to you yet.
that's
So,
right.
yeah.
And to me, there's a fine line of over educating where
Yeah.
now it's like, whoa, Carl, that's a lot for me to process.
Mm-hmm.
I need to think about it. If you're getting a lot of, I need to think about it, maybe try being more concise and to the point in your
Sure.
presentation.
Yeah.
And so that's where the no is the invitation for more information.
Mm-hmm.
Usually the first couple of times they say it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's knowing your transition phrases when someone says, I just don't think that's for me. So help me understand, what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
And
Objections are beautiful things.
yeah,
You'll
keep
learn a
that.
lot more when you start hearing what they don't like. And well, I don't think that would work because. Oh, cool. Let's get over that one. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that to me, that's the fun part, the psychology of it, and ensuring that you have transition phrases and good questions that allow the conversation to continue. Um, there's there's no need to go off on a big monologue as part of overcoming an objection
Mm-hmm.
if you ask the right questions.
How often do you find, so let's say the front desk is doing their job and there's a lot of people are getting in for that, let's call it, the consult,
Mhm.
but it's the clinician who's kind of messing it up at that point. Do you run into that? And they're just,
Yeah. This
repellent in
morning,
one way or another.
so this
The
morning I
marketing
had,
comes not working. Actually, my friend, it's you. Your breath is,
yeah.
I don't know what it is, but you're the one, you are the problem child.
Well, I got a call this morning from an office manager who was concerned because she has heard this doctor begin to get into some bad habits. I mean, she's been practicing for 30 plus years. She's really, really skilled at what she does,
Mm-hmm.
dynamite with her patients, but we've noticed that her diagnosing has gone down significantly. Her amount of treatment production is actually way down.
Okay.
And so I had invited this office manager to just listen at the door of the operatories and I just want you to listen. What is she saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it's little things that the doctor wasn't even aware. She gave me the feedback this morning. I said, great, tell the doctor to call me during lunch. I think we've found what we need to work on.
Okay.
And all it was the doctor saying, well, no, don't worry about paying anything today. We're going to go ahead and bill everything out to the insurance, maximize what we can get there, and then we'll send you an invoice. Well, she hasn't done that in practice for 30 years, but in the last 6 months, she had one really bad experience where somebody said, I'm not giving you a dime until I know what the insurance covers. So she just immediately was terrified to keep going there, even though she's done this for 30 plus years. So now she's, instead of, I mean, it was a $14,000 thing, procedure that had already been underway. And she was supposed to, they knew this was an insurance, the front desk knew was only going to cover $1,500 and the insurance company. And so they had it all set up and they presented $9,000 for her out of pocket that day. And the patient said, oh, but the doctor told me that you won't bill me until you hear back from the insurance. And it created a hurdle. The office manager was saying with the treatment coordinator, well, we've already contacted your insurance and cover 1,500. And she goes, oh, but the doctor said that she thinks they might cover more. Well, sorry, Humana never covers more than $1,500. So why the doctor would say that, like, trust your staff at the front desk to handle and your insurance advisor to handle all that.
Yeah.
Don't cut them out at the knees as a practitioner, clinician.
Yeah.
So, know your transitions and know your lane and stay in your lane of, glad we could start on your procedure. Susie at the front desk is going to go through the details and
Yeah.
discuss with you what your insurance is covering.
Got it. Got it. Well, we could turn this into a fun and very long sort of regalia of, crap we've seen. Just
Yeah.
things where you go, oh, why would you do that? It's funny. I've got one client where they're not a dentist. I'll do this and I'll wrap it up. There's two ways you could become a new patient. Their preferred way is an evaluation. So you come in, really deep dive, really good work over. They can tell this is what we think's going on, and this is the treatment we think we need to do. Do you want to do it? 9 times out of 10, they say yes. But they've got a 15-minute free consult. That's what they call it. 15 minutes, give them a taste, and then maybe you go to the eval, then maybe you become a patient. And it's a lot of steps. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot of steps. And not surprisingly, why is it there? It's to help the new people kind of ease into this, what you and I have been talking about. But the new people aren't, because they don't know any better, and these patients are walking away in similar numbers. And so I was talking with them the other day, and I'm like, why don't you just get rid of the free? What can you get done in 15 minutes given what you do? I mean, why don't you just get rid of it? So they're thinking about, so another part of this, which you could get into, is don't have any more steps than you really need.
Yes.
I mean, the fewest number of steps possible to get from first call to, hello, my name is Dr. So-and-so, we're going to be doing this today. The fewest number of steps possible to get from beginning to end, right?
Yes. I had a doctor tell me just the other day, he's a coach. He coaches other doctors on the importance of the sales process.
Yeah.
And how to follow it. And I said, oh, walk me through your sales process. And he goes, oh, we got to do that a different day. We don't have time. And I was like, how big's your sales process?
Too big.
You'll die, Carl. He said that there are 29 steps in the
Oh my God, he actually counted them.
He said there's 29. And I was like,
which means he's proud of it.
He was very proud of it. And I was like, if I had to follow 29 steps as a professional salesperson, I'd
be up. Did I miss step 17? I'd be up all night. Crap. I screwed the whole thing up. Yeah. Okay. Well,
the KISS method, keep it stupid simple.
Yes. Keep it simple. So yeah. Right. Yeah, we could have what's the worst you've ever seen in this other thing, but we're sort of at the bite-size advice size variety here. So a couple of wrap-up questions. Although with that, it's a bad prelude. Anything you think we should have talked about, or I should have asked you, but we just didn't get to?
No, one thing I would just a little tip.
Mm-hmm.
You should be asking with your front desk, what's the best self-improvement book you've read lately? Mm-hmm. Ask your team that. Mm-hmm. And if they're needing sales, have a list of good sales books that teach mm-hmm. you fundamental principles that you can hand them. That's a quick, easy read. Mm-hmm. I would say that's a go-to. If you can get the mindset shifted to focused on the outcomes, turning more of those outcomes into your favor.
Yeah.
That comes back to sales. It comes back to marketing and understanding that. And there are some dynamite, self-development books that talk about communication skills, how to handle phone calls, those things. So I would say that's an excellent place to start. Mm-hmm. As far as lead management goes, because it'll put people in a mindset of, okay, I need to be ready going into this phone call to answer these most common questions and objections.
Yeah. So, cool. And the other question is, the scenario is we've caught some listeners' attention. They're like, Jake's right. Who are we to think that we're really good at this necessarily? We need to get better, but it's a big topic. Where do I start? I'm not sure where to start. Are there a couple of simple things you'd recommend that they do to get started on this, just to kind of get moving?
Yeah, there's a couple things. A lot of these businesses will give you a free demo. I would find a few really good platforms and book yourself a free demo. Mm-hmm. a really popular one right now from a business to consumer standpoint for leads, mm-hmm. Go High Level. Mm-hmm. Everybody's using Go High Level these days. There's a lot of integrations with the benefits of dental specifically.
Okay.
Just get yourself on a demo so you can learn some of the fundamentals of what does it look like. Mm-hmm. So I'd say that's a great first step. HubSpot's another one. Mm-hmm. There's some really simple and cheap ones and ways to do it. I've got templates I'll give you for free as a listener if you want.
Okay.
You can email me, Jake@goatcmo.com.
Mhm.
And I'm happy to give you kind of a quick assessment and crash course on a really, it's free. It's the easiest way to manage a pipeline as a
Mhm.
starting point.
Mhm.
But as you grow and get serious about growth, what I give you as a starting point will not be sufficient.
Right.
Um, but it'll at least get you thinking in that track.
Right.
Um, so, you know, that's the other thing that my team does that all day long. I probably send out 5 to 10 of these emails a day to people saying, where do I start? So,
Mhm.
yeah, my team we've got a template. We'll just blast it over to you and you
That's
can use it
great.
and own it.
Right. Jake at goatcmo.com.
It's Jake at goatcmo.com.
GOAT. Perfect.
Mhm.
Excellent. Okay. Jake, thank you. This is great.
Yeah.
This is really enlightening. This is one of those topics like listeners, small changes could yield a lot of revenue. You know, you talk about what's a revenue generating activity. This may very well be, it would fly under the radar. You wouldn't think of it as a revenue generating activity, but it really is.
Yeah.
And some of the easier revenue, you know, launching a new service, adding something new, you got to tell the whole community about it, ramping up lead generation, you got to start a whole new thing, but better handling the inquiries that are already coming in. Hard to argue that's not a place to start. So thanks for shining a light on it.
No, it's my pleasure. I geek out over the numbers, and honestly, 1 or 2% in conversion rate and contact rate adds up to some really big dollars.
And that, you know what? That's another thing I wanted before I wrap up. My industry, the sort of the online marketing industry, we get tagged with the ability to measure all sorts of things, and a lot of my competitors, peers, will bury clients alive in data that doesn't really mean anything. Just because something is measurable doesn't mean it's worthwhile doing so. But the stuff you're talking about, every stage of that pipeline, how many were drops off, how many this, how many that, it sounds like lots of it is really actionable and you can make things better. And that even helps somebody like me. Like, we're getting a lot of calls that are just bad calls. You know, what's going on? Why are we getting so many calls about this when, for whatever reason, it's about, we can adjust things at the front end,
Yeah,
you
but if
know?
the back end isn't reporting to the front end,
Correct.
nothing gets fixed.
Correct. We're going to keep sending it bad stuff and lots of it because that's what we're supposed to do unless we know any better.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Good. Jake, thank you for coming on Practice Care and putting some light on this.
No, I love your show. I love what you do with these. So it's been fun to listen and fun to finally be on here, Carl.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate it very much. A couple of points before we wrap up. First, if you're someone like Jake or I, and you want to help more private practice owners stay private, or if you're a private practice owner yourself and you've got some experience on the business side of practice that you think your peers would benefit from, either way, please, we want you to come on Practice Care and tell the world about it. In the show notes for Jake's episode and every episode, there's a link. It's really quick, a couple of clicks. Just tell us what's on your mind so we can get you scheduled as soon as possible. And finally, you got to subscribe to Practice Care. It's one word. It's the easiest way to stay up to date with new episodes. We drop a new one every week. Otherwise, you're going to miss some. So subscribe. You'll find us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere you listen to podcasts. We are there. Please subscribe. Thanks very much. And until next time.